A man was driving through a desolate no-man's land when the driver ahead suddenly spat a thick glob of phlegm onto his windshield. Paul, an elite lawyer, wasn't about to take this insult lying down. He immediately slammed on the brakes, forcing the other vehicle to stop, then arrogantly shouted for the driver to get out. When the driver didn't budge, Paul yanked off the man's cap and used it as a rag to wipe his windshield, saying, "I'll let you off this time." In response, the driver slapped Paul hard across the face. Paul pulled out his phone to call the police, only to find there was no signal in this remote area. Then, a burly, rough-looking man emerged from the truck and brazenly urinated on Paul's driver's seat. Facing these two thuggish truck drivers, Paul swallowed his rage and looked for an opportunity to overtake them. But every time he tried to change lanes, they deliberately blocked him. To make matters worse, they threw a bottle from their truck, shattering his windshield. The relentless provocation finally pushed Paul over the edge. He tailgated them closely, stuffed a lit lighter into an empty cigarette pack, and seized the moment to toss it into the hay pile on their truck. Within moments, the cargo of firewood caught fire. As the flames grew, the panicked occupants pulled over to fight the blaze, while Paul drove past with a satisfied smirk, throwing them a mocking gesture as the truck burned behind him. What Paul didn't know was that this desolate wasteland would soon become his nightmare, and it all started with a rare, prized beast. Days earlier, a professional hitman had been lying in wait in this no-man's land for days before finally capturing a priceless falcon. Just as he was about to contact the buyer, a cigarette butt gave away his position. Before he could draw his gun, a police officer had a weapon pressed to his back. During transport, the hitman repeatedly tried to bribe the officer, but was refused each time. Suddenly, the hitman's accomplice, Lao Liu, rammed them with his vehicle. The officer died instantly before he could react. Since there was only one road through this wasteland and escape would mean certain capture, they staged the scene as an accident and turned themselves in. To beat the charges, Lao Liu hired top lawyer Paul, who successfully exploited gaps in the evidence. Using records of alcohol the officer had consumed at his last meal, Paul twisted the murder case into a drunk driving accident, successfully getting Lao Liu acquitted. When Paul came to collect his legal fees after the case, the cunning Lao Liu pointed to an expensive red car outside, offering it as payment. Lao Liu's real plan was to use Paul's identity to smuggle the Falcon past checkpoints. After successfully entering the no-man's land, Lao Liu immediately notified the waiting hitman to prepare for action. Meanwhile, Paul had just entered the area when he encountered the vengeful truck drivers from the opening scene. Shortly after, he came across the hitman, disguised as a stranded motorist. Unexpectedly, Paul accidentally struck the hitman with his car. Seeing the man was still breathing, Paul hurriedly lifted him into the vehicle to wait for help.